Hello fellow hobbyists, Kieran from Keys Minis here, and it gives me great pleasure to film this video. I know it's been a while on the channel since I last filmed some content. That's because I've moved home and I just haven't figured out the setup. But with a new camera and playing around with things, I wanted to film a new video for you. But the reason I also wanted to film it is I managed to get this steal on eBay. This Warhammer 4th edition is the box set that introduced me to the hobby. It's the first box set that I come across ever. I was around 6 to 7 years old. My timings and dates are roughly a little bit off. I had an uncle who, when I used to go visit my grandma all the time, when he was away back home from uni, he used to play Doom and video games on his PC, and I used to go up and he'd introduce me to the gaming world in general, just in terms of video games. But then one time I went up and his room was dark, kind of blacked out. He had this little desk lamp on. There he was, painting Warhammer Fantasy High Elves. And I just remember seeing these High Elves then, because they were just amazing. To me, it was the best painting I'd ever seen. Like I said, I was young, I was new to the hobby. But I still have fond memories of those miniatures, though it's very vague. My Uncle Paul, then I just remember loosely him allowing me to leave with some of the goblins and some of the high elves. In fact, I think he actually gave me the box, because I just remember having this castle. I didn't have the full set. He maybe had one or two of the sets to build up an army. But I remember having the box and some of the miniatures and the bestiary, and I think I even had the rule book and some of the markers. But then I do remember also one Christmas getting Warhammer 40,000 2nd edition. I believe it was Paul who got it me, it might have even been my parents, but I also got that box set as well. And that to me then was my hobby. I had a few paints, but I didn't really know how to paint them, despite having some of the Warhammer White Dwarf magazines that Paul had also gave me. And I think I had one of the catalogues. I remember fondly looking at the Screamer, as it was called then, from Warhammer 30,000. Now, to some, that model is like a little cheesy these days, but to me it was like, whew. I was terrified of the Tyranids. And these guys have just so much charm. Even now, despite the miniatures being fairly old, they still have so much charm and nostalgic feel to me. So I wanted to film this video and just kind of show the set. I managed to land this on eBay around £50. I was searching just for an image to show this box itself, and I clicked on one, but most of the eBay boxes were going for around 150, 200 pounds. So I was out straight away, just didn't have the money. But this one come up and I watched it for a whole week, and then I finally made a bid for the asking price of £50. And though the miniatures, some of them are not that greatly painted, there were extra in, and I think there's some of the dice and like one of the houses missing as well, but there's most of the measuring cards. But I believe there's also a metal Teclis or Tyrian. I'm not sure, I'll have to do a bit more research. I can't remember all the lore from back then. There's also some metal orc war boys as well. Yeah, these are going to be fun to paint. I'm going to have to do some serious stripping on some of them. The paint jobs are not the best. He did actually say in his description he wasn't the best painter. There's also this one, I'm not really sure who it is at all, but I'll strip them down. But I'm so eager to paint these. Now I'm just trying to figure out the best way to go and paint them. Now I want to paint them in that classic traditional style, but I also want to kind of add some details that I like to paint as well these days, and maybe some of the bases. I don't know, I'm still deciding yet, but I just wanted to introduce this box set because it means so much to me in the hobby. Obviously, I also remember back in those days going to Meadow Hall, looking in the Games Workshop shop there, mainly in the window a lot because none of my friends were really interested, but I did manage one time to drag one of them in. And this may have just been before a lot of the rings came out, so he wasn't really into the fantasy stuff anyway. But we got to play Warhammer 40k, I think, and I just never got to play that much when I was younger. My parents weren't that bothered about it, so I never had no one wanting that, and we never had enough paints. I did have one of the old paint sets, and one of the old cards to send off for a paint set. I think that's how I might have got that paint set, actually, by sending off for it. I never did much painting, and I never really played that much. I always loved so many models. I just never had the money to. And then when Lord of the Rings came out, I really wanted to get back in it, and I did get a few Lord of the Rings models. But again, over time, I just kind of left. And around 20 years later, I just decided, after playing lots of Total War Warhammer, I wanted to get back in it. But Warhammer Fantasy was dead, so I was a little bit gutted about that, because obviously playing Total War Warhammer, I wanted to get back into that setting. But I picked up some Age of Sigmar, and I've since been enjoying my painting, and I'm developing my skills and getting better each time. But this set, I certainly want to strip the models, paint them up, and eventually play probably the first game of Warhammer Fantasy Battles ever. And I want to play it with my son, and I just want to induce that nostalgic feel to him. We already love playing 40k and Blood Bowl every now and again. We're not the best at rules though. But yes, I just wanted to show this set off because it's such a great find, such a great nostalgic hit for me as a hobbyist that I'm just so eager to get on with it. I just don't know which way to go yet. I just don't know which way to go. Do I paint it in the classic? Most of you are probably screaming here now saying, yeah, paint it in the classic style. But I've just got to figure that bit out for myself. I'm really excited to get started on this project because it's just such a nostalgic feel. I'm so busy at the minute with Cursed City because I want to get that and play that with my son, kind of at that dungeon game. And I've got so many models to paint because of the Imperium magazines that I'm collecting as well. But this is definitely a priority. I'm going to at least challenge 2 spearmen and 2 archers from each unit, though the archers for the goblins may come a little bit later on because these guys need stripping. Yeah, I just wanted to obviously show this set off because it's such a thing to me. It's like I'm trying to fight the passion back now. I'm trying to understand just best way to do things. And I'm just so eager to get started on this project and showcase some of it and try and do the best I can and give this set the justice it deserves. Because a lot of these guys, I'm really lucky because a lot of these guys are unpainted. And to get most of the set and a few extra models is kind of rare. But I'm really eager to get tackled with this. So thank you for watching this little ranty video. I hope you've enjoyed this nostalgic trip just as much as I have. If you have, please subscribe, like the video as well. And watch out real soon because I will have some painting videos on these guys. I'm just figuring out all my new setup at home, and I'm doing a lot of test filming just to make sure my content's up to the best it can be. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.